his son made her boyfriend's son jack him off. Yeah, inappropriate misconduct of a minor or something like that is the charge. Yeah, I'm just curious as to where the son could have gotten it from, because that's predatory behavior.
When your father is sitting here telling you, well, it doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman because a man's, G-spot is... Why are you telling a freaking 12-year-old this? This is a conversation that was had during quarantine.
I don't gotta tell nobody where I put my wood.
Mason claims that he engaged in hot, heavy romance with Dwight Howard, but the professional athlete denies the claims. Really?
They call Dwight Howard one of basketball's most dominating forces, but his off-court life has ignited a firestorm of rumors and revelations, whether it's shocking accusations of hidden affairs, legal battles that exposed unsettling details, or his former partner's claims about Wild House parties. One question lingers: how deep does the rabbit hole really go? From leaked text messages to explosive allegations that involve all kinds of freak-off festivities, Dwight's private world has become a magnet for controversy. But beyond the headlines and viral gossip, there's a story about a father, a son, and secrets some wish would stay buried. Strap in, because once you dig into these bombshell claims, you might never look at Dwight Howard the same way again.
Dwight Howard is engaged to a woman. A woman. Okay? Because you know that's what they say he likes.
Even before accusations and lawsuits made national headlines, there was a persistent hum surrounding Dwight Howard's private life, an undercurrent of whispers that refused to die down. At first, it was all chalked up to online gossip, anonymous social media users, and basketball forums accusing him of having a secret down-low existence. Some claimed they had inside information, citing cryptic social media posts, hush-hush meetups, and rumors of behind-the-scenes drama nobody could quite pin down. Other fans waved it off as nothing more than tabloid noise, pointing out that rumors follow any celebrity long enough to eventually stick. But in Dwight's case, the talk never fully went away. With every new team he joined, the chatter seemed to flare up again. People noticed the way he dodged certain questions in interviews, or the strained laughter when reporters drifted a bit too close to personal topics. Fueling the speculation was Dwight's own attempt at humor. He sometimes joked around about his life off the court, a habit that left fans wondering if there was more truth than jest behind his words. Even his dynamic personality, so magnetic on the basketball court, became a double-edged sword. While it made him a charismatic star, it also led some to believe he was a master at diverting attention from deeper secrets. Over time, minor rumors morphed into elaborate theories about why his personal relationships always seemed so guarded. Even the simplest moments, like an off-season trip or a vague photo on Instagram, would spark endless debates about who he was really with or what he was really doing. And when the occasional story did leak, such as a stray conversation overheard by a friend of a friend, it fueled an online feeding frenzy that only reinforced the notion that something was being hidden. Looking back, it's easy to see how these early whispers were just the tip of the iceberg. Yet back then, no one realized that these simmering suspicions would eventually explode into open allegations of scandal, masked strangers in private bedrooms, and court documents that made fans question how much of Dwight's public persona was carefully calculated. If there's one thing this saga proves, it's that rumors, once they grab hold, rarely fade quietly into the background. Instead, they linger, gathering momentum until they either evaporate under scrutiny or burst wide open into headlines nobody can ignore. The biggest jolt to Dwight Howard's public image came when Steven Harper filed a lawsuit that jolted fans and critics alike. At first, Harper's account seemed straightforward. He and Dwight met through social media, exchanged messages for a while, and eventually agreed to meet at Dwight's home. But that's where the story took a bizarre turn. Harper claimed that once he arrived, Dwight unexpectedly introduced someone named Kitty, a man dressed as a woman, and made it clear he wanted the three of them to get involved in a scenario Harper never agreed to. Feeling blindsided, Harper said he tried to stand his ground and refuse, but Dwight allegedly pressured him. According to Harper's version of events, things escalated when he attempted to leave. Dwight supposedly pinned him down and insisted he'd like it. Dwight, for his part, completely denied the accusations of non-consensual behavior. In his legal response, he argued that Harper already knew about Kitty before showing up and that everyone involved had given the green light from the start. Yet the scandal only grew when court documents hinted that one of Dwight's children may have been asleep up in another room during these shocking events. Critics were quick to question Dwight's parenting, while supporters insisted it was nobody's business so long as everything was between consenting adults. Either way, the details of the lawsuit, complete with images, explicit texts, and suggestions of secrecy, painted a picture far different from Dwight's clean-cut NBA persona. And though he ultimately got the case dismissed, this would only open the door to more startling accusations brewing on the horizon. When the dust from Steven Harper's lawsuit had barely settled, Dwight Howard's ex and mother of his child, Royce Reed, stepped into the spotlight with her own unsettling account. She recalled living in the guest house on Dwight's property during the global lockdown, a time when most of the world was on edge and staying indoors. According to Royce, Dwight used that period to throw wild parties, inviting guests from all walks of life, even though nobody was supposed to be hosting gatherings of any sort. One afternoon, Royce said she woke up from a nap only to discover a scene that felt ripped from a chaotic late-night house party. People yelling at each other, someone throwing up over a balcony, and suspicious paraphernalia on the kitchen table, some of it smeared with peanut butter. Her immediate concern, however, was her son. Royce claimed she had no idea where he was in the middle of this bedlam. By the time she found him, he appeared confused and upset, wondering why his dad was acting so strangely. Royce said she confronted Dwight, only to be brushed off with a dismissive attitude. She was alarmed by the drug-like atmosphere and worried about strangers wandering through the main house. What made the night even more harrowing was Royce's claim that one of Dwight's friends lost his temper and threatened to escalate the situation with violence. At that point, Royce decided it was time to pack up and leave, no matter the consequences. She recalls Dwight trying to intimidate her, blocking her way and demanding she think twice before taking their son out of his home. But Royce was adamant. No matter the blowback, she refused to keep her child in an environment she felt was spiraling out of control. Little did she know, this episode would only foreshadow more troubling revelations to come. The turmoil in Dwight's personal life took an even darker turn when disturbing allegations emerged about his and Royce Reed's son, Breland. According to court documents, Breland had reportedly behaved inappropriately toward another child, sparking an investigation that quickly escalated into a legal and emotional minefield. Royce, who said she'd been noticing warning signs in her son for years, insists she took every step possible to address the issue, starting with a call to a therapist. Because therapists are mandated reporters, Royce's concerns were brought to the attention of child services, and soon enough, she found herself in the hot seat. In a perplexing twist, Royce ended up facing child neglect charges, even though she maintains her sole intent was to protect her child and ensure he got the help he needed. She claims that every time she tried to raise the alarm about her son's behavior, her worries fell on deaf ears. Worse yet, Royce believes she was actively punished for voicing her suspicions. She recalls a particular judge threatening to remove Breland from her custody if she continued bringing up these troubling incidents. Feeling cornered, Royce explains that she had no choice but to comply, despite her belief that something was seriously wrong and possibly tied to what her son had been exposed to in Dwight's home. Some onlookers began to wonder if Breland's alleged actions were a sign he was imitating activities he might have witnessed at those raucous freak-off parties Dwight was rumored to host. Royce supports this theory, pointing to specific moments where she claims her son described bizarre behavior by the adults around him, including drug use and sexual situations, sometimes right in front of him. Critics questioned Dwight's role in all of it, suggesting that if he truly had multiple partners coming in and out of the house, often while under the influence, the environment might have been far from child-friendly. In the end, the judge ruled that Breland could not interact with any children more than 2 years younger than himself, creating significant restrictions for his social life. Royce, meanwhile, was left to pick up the pieces of her family's fractured dynamic, reeling from legal fallout and public scrutiny. For those watching from the sidelines, one question loomed above all others. Had Dwight's private life bled so deeply into his son's world that it caused irreparable damage? Or was Royce's account just one side of a complicated two-parent story? The final chapter of this story is still being written. Even with all the allegations, lawsuits, wild party rumors, and disturbing claims about parenting choices, there's no neat resolution. Dwight Howard and Royce Reed remain in a state of constant friction, each insisting they're in the right. Meanwhile, those explosive details, unconventional parties, a child's troubling behavior, hush orders, and financial power plays have left people on the outside wondering how much of this chaos is still lurking behind the scenes. For Royce, the fight has turned into a mission to protect her child from the influences she believes are damaging. For Dwight, the narrative hinges on privacy and the right to live life without constant judgment from the internet. Adding to the complexity is his new engagement, which has arrived under a cloud of public skepticism. As their stories clash, each new revelation seems to raise more questions than it answers. Celebrity scandals tend to come and go, but something about this saga feels deeper, like a cautionary tale about power, secrecy, and what it really takes to safeguard a child's future. Whether you believe Royce's accounts or side with Dwight's defense, there's no escaping the disquiet that lingers in the wake of these claims. Ultimately, the puzzle remains unsolved. Legal battles can end, but emotional ones rarely do. Will Dwight and Royce ever find common ground for the sake of their son, or will the cycle of accusations and denials keep spiraling until it reaches a breaking point? Only time, and perhaps more shocking disclosures, will reveal the final outcome.